Welcome back to Ferret's Gone, another YouTube video for you guys today. First baseman tier list right here, right now. I mean, we got some donkeys up in here. So let's just get ripping right here. Albert Pujols started off. The machine really sucks. He's absolutely fallen off. He's definitely falling into underwhelming for me. Not bad, underwhelming. The next player, bad. Chris Davis, he just doesn't have it anymore. Sadly, he's getting paid a whole bunch of money. I was excited because his spring training looked good. His spring training looked so good, and now he just doesn't have it. Another tough case right here, Joey Votto. I'm going to have to put into average. Joey Votto looked terrible last year. I mean, absolutely horrendous. If you watch some of his at-bats, he was doing some of the craziest stuff right outside the box in the on-deck circle. I'm just not sure Joey Votto has it anymore. His defense is going to be okay. His defense isn't bad, but, you know, at the end of the day, Joey Votto really isn't nearly as good as a hitter as he is anymore. The power has completely gone, and I'm just not sure the contact's ever going to come back anymore for him. Ryan Braun, he's moving over to first base. He's still an extremely good hitter. With the addition of Avisail Garcia for the Milwaukee Brewers, he's going to be fine at first base. No longer his defense isn't a liability. He's just going to be able to hit the baseball. And Ryan Braun is still a very good hitter in the major leagues. He's a solid starter for the Milwaukee Brewers. Up next, maybe the most underrated first baseman in the past 5 to 6 years, Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana is an all-star. He's absolutely an all-star. Switch-hitting guy, high OBP, decent slug. He's going to give you good at-bats every single game. He's an all-right defender. But at the end of the 850 OPS plus every single year other than 1 year in Philadelphia, one down here. Other than that, he's been a great player. The most underrated first baseman over the last 5 to 6 years. Up next, Brandon Belt from the Giants. Man, Brandon Belt has fallen off a cliff. And it doesn't help. He's playing in AT&T Park where home runs are few and far apart. But he's average now. His defense is all right. He's moving a little bit out to the outfield because he can play out there. But at the end of the day, the power's not there as a first baseman, and his contact is not like he's batting over 300 anymore. He's average. I mean, the Giants will make do right now considering they're in a rebuild mode, but he's nothing to really hang your hat on. Up next, Ryan Zimmerman. I want to put him in average. It's hard for me to put him in underwhelming, though. He's kind of in between. I'm going to have to put him in average. He still hits the ball well. And Zimmerman has his moments where he still crushes baseballs. He's just not nearly as consistent. The injury bug hurts him. He's a defensive liability at first base. He's on the wrong side of the platoon right now, but he still has flashes that keeps him in average. Up next, Yuli Gurriel. Solid starter. Has flashes where he looks like an all-star. Has these random moments, random weeks where Yuli Gurriel might hit 400 with 5 or 6 home runs, and then he just kind of goes back to a 280 guy, 20 home runs, extremely good contact, extremely good OBP. The power isn't that great, the defense isn't that great. He can't be bumped into All-Star right now, but for a solid starter, he's probably at the top of that B list for me. Up next, Daniel Murphy. I'm gonna have to put an average, very similar to Brandon Belt at the tail end of his career. The power has completely gone wayside. Brandon Belt, Daniel Murphy, they're the exact type of player, man. It's really hard to evaluate them right now. I really hope Daniel Murphy has a bounce-back season this year. He's a great guy. I'm waiting. He still has the potential to hit for a high average. The power may be gone, but he's in Colorado, and I have no doubt he can have a bounce-back season. Up next, Paul Goldschmidt. 2-3 years ago, he's here. He's absolutely S tier, but down year in St. Louis, man. He had a really bad year the past year based on his previous years. I'm just not sure he has it anymore. This kind of seems like it's the first year that for regression for Paul. Paul's just not nearly the player he used to be anymore. The speed's kind of gone wayside. The power didn't look nearly like it was there. I think it's the first year for regression for Goldschmidt. And he was, again, a beast for 5 to 6 years in Arizona. Without a doubt, one of the best players. Not even first baseman players in the league, but he's due for regression now. Up next, Freddie Freeman, our first S-tier member in either tier list so far. Freddie Freeman has been a franchise cornerstone for the Braves for the past 8 years, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Freeman had one of his best years this past year again. He doesn't have any signs of slowing down right now. He's been healthy for the past 2 years. I expect Freddie Freeman to be all-star level, if not MVP level, for the next 3 to 4 years again. Freddie Freeman, absolute franchise cornerstone for the Atlanta Braves. Up next, Mitch Moreland. I'm going to have to put Moreland in average as well. He's on the good side of the platoon. That really helps him. If he's a righty, he's definitely underwhelming. But Mitch Moreland still crushes righties. Absolutely crushes righties. He's going to be Boston's first baseman. He's going to be able to DH sometimes. Mitch Moreland has silently carved himself out an extremely good career. Extremely good. From Texas to now Boston, Mitch Moreland is overlooked. Up next, Anthony Rizzo, and Cubs fans are going to say franchise cornerstone, but he's not. Anthony Rizzo is not a franchise cornerstone whatsoever. Anthony Rizzo is an extremely good first baseman. He's good at defense. He hits righties extremely well. The lack of an ability to hit lefties really hurts him. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. That's his worst attribute, is that he struggles to hit lefties, and that really comes back to bite him, and he's just not an all-around hitter for me enough to put him in franchise cornerstone. Up next, Eric Thames. Basically the same thing, not solid starter. Not solid starter, come on. He's average. He's basically Mitch Moreland. He crushes righties. He struggles against lefties sometimes, especially. He strikes out a lot against lefties. Eric Thames, definitely one of the best platoon guys in Major League Baseball, but he's not good enough to be a solid starter yet. Jesus Aguilar, he's average as well. Jesus Aguilar is a big bat versus lefties. He really crushes both sides of the plate, has a lot of power, but his defense is horrendous. I mean, absolutely horrendous, especially at one of the easiest, if not the easiest, position to play defense at in the major leagues. Jesus Aguilar is average at best. CJ Cron, another very underrated first baseman. Detroit Tigers made a great signing with Cron. He's a solid starter. Cron has a good bat. He's going to be in the middle of the lineup for them. He's going to crush balls this year. Don't be surprised. Don't let him go overlooked in Detroit. That's my biggest thing. Do not let CJ Cron go overlooked in Detroit if we come back this season or the next season. Do not let him get overlooked. He's going to crush the ball. He's been overlooked the past 2 years. He's a great option, especially in fantasy. Eric Hosmer, underwhelming, especially based off his contract. Hosmer, he doesn't refine his approach. He hasn't looked into any advanced metrics. His launch angle's terrible. Eric Hosmer is not a good first baseman anymore, and he's not a good hitter. His defense isn't there. He's underwhelming. Travis Shaw, he's Chris Davis, but the Canadian version. Nothing else to say. Jose Abreu, another very underrated first baseman. He's an all-star. Year in, year out, absolutely crushes the ball for the Chicago White Sox. Came over a few years ago and crushed it and hasn't stopped. Has not stopped. Up next, Max Muncy, who is one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball. Max Muncy is an all-star every single year. Absolutely crushes baseballs from both sides. Can play second base, can play third base, can play outfield. He came over on a waiver from Oakland. Oakland cut the dude. He came over on a waiver claim, and since then has not stopped hitting baseballs over the fence. Max Muncy, absolute beast. Luke Voit, I'm going to have to put him in average as well. Has all the potential to be an all-star, honestly. Luke Voit is very balanced from both sides. He plays in a very hitter-friendly park in Yankee Stadium. I'm waiting for Luke Voit to really make that jump to at least solid starter, but for now, he's going to have to sit in that average range. After that, we have Christian Walker. Christian Walker is an extremely good defender. He's definitely not Paul Goldschmidt's replacement. I'm sorry, if you're a Diamondbacks fan and you have a real big hope for Christian Walker, that's good. He's not an all-star. And he has the potential to maybe cap out at solid starter, but for now, he's about an average first baseman in the league. Miguel Sano is the exact type of hitter we want at first base. He's a solid starter. 300 at-bats or something last year. 30-plus home runs. Launch angle, insanely good. In the top percentile for exit velocity. He's going to crush balls. He's going to strike out a bunch. He's going to walk, and he's going to hit a ton of home runs. He is your prototypical 3-outcome guy. But Miguel Sano is a solid starter at first base, especially with Josh Donaldson moving over to third base for the Twins. Sano's going to move from third to first, therefore his defense isn't going to make nearly big of an impact. Sano's going to be a beast. Daniel Vogelbach, bad or underwhelming. I'm going to have to put him in underwhelming for now just because he's kind of a young guy. We've been really waiting for Vogelbach to break out the last couple years, and it looked like he was going to April, May. He looked extremely good, but the second half of the season was horrendous. I mean horrendous. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Honestly, he could not hit himself out of a wet paper bag. But he's shown flashes that'll keep him in underwhelming. Ji-Man Choi, I'm going to put an average. He is very similar to Vogelbach, except he kept it going for longer. That's the best way I can put it. He's on the good side of a platoon. He's not going to be your best guy at first base, but he's going to get the job done. A lot of pop. He's very similar to Moreland in things. Renato Nunez, 30-plus bombs last year for the Orioles. He's going to be your average first baseman. Again, he's a guy who plays for the Orioles, so he doesn't get much media hype. He has a lot of power. He's an extremely good hitter. Defense is very much to be desired, but 30-plus bombs last year, that's what you're looking from a first baseman. Up next, Josh Bell from the Pittsburgh Pirates, all-star. Broke out this past year, was an absolute beast, switch hitter. He's getting to the point where if he puts together another couple of seasons like this, he could be a franchise cornerstone for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Right now, he's going through very similar shades of what Freddie Freeman went through in 2015, 2016 with the Braves before Acuna and Ozzie both came up and the Braves really took off. He's going through shades of that where he's the only hitter on the Pirates. They could build around him easily. He could be a franchise cornerstone in the next couple years. Up next, Ronald Guzman. Daniel Vogelbach 2.0. He's on the good side of a platoon, but we haven't seen enough from him. He's gonna crush righties when he's hot, but when he's cold, he's cold. Matt Olson, absolute beast. My second favorite first baseman in the league, without a doubt. Defense is insane. Pounds balls on both sides of the plate. Matt Olson is, in my opinion, the best Oakland Athletic on that team, even over Matt Chapman, even over Marcus Semien. I think Matt Olson is the guy. Is an absolute dude for the Oakland Athletics. I think that is who you build around. If you had to give me a chance between Olsen or Chapman, I'm taking Olsen 9 out of 10 times. The dude is a freak. Up next, another absolute freak, Pete Alonso, S tier. 50-plus home runs last year as a rookie. Insane power. You watched the home run derby, right? Right? Yeah. Insane power. You see him take sliders down and away and pull them 450. The dude's an absolute animal. The polar bear, S tier. He's going to be an all-star for the next 10 to 15 years, and he's going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to win an MVP. Mark my words, he's going to win an NL MVP in the next 5 years. Not the next 10, not the next 15, 5 years. Pete Alonso, NL MVP. Up next, Garrett Cooper. Underwhelming, average. Put him in average for now. He's really nothing special. He'll have his months where, 280, 290, couple bombs. Overall in the season, maybe 20 bombs, approaching 30. If he has a really good season, he's going to be about 260, 270 hitter. He's your prototypical average first baseman. Up next, Rhino Hearn. Kansas City's version of Chris Davis and Travis Shaw. He was a 29-year-old rookie. He really struggles to hit any contact. He's really good in the power department, but that's if he makes contact first. He's a 3-outcome hitter that's really missing the power. Last but not least, Rhys Hoskins. He bounces between all-star. I'm going to go ahead and put him in solid starter. Only batted 220 last year. He's a guy that this year, his next season, is really going to make or break his career, because if he pops off, he could be all-star, if not S-tier kind of first baseman, and if he falls off, he's either going to stick in solid starter or he's going to be an average first baseman for the rest of his career. He has all the potential in the world. He has the pop. He walks a ton. He has a good eye for the zone. He's very similar to Joey Votto in that sense, where he has a very good eye for the zone, but he needs to put it all together for me to really bump him in an all-star range. I think I'm even giving him a little more credit than he deserves by putting him in solid starter. There you go. There's your tier list. Looking back on it. Franchise cornerstone. Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson, Pete Alonso. Expect those three guys for the next 5 to 10 years to run the first base gauntlet. In the all-star range, Carlos Santana, Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Rizzo, Jose Abreu, Max Muncy, and Josh Bell. Straight up dudes. Absolute dudes. B tier, solid starters. Yuli Gurriel, Ryan Braun, CJ Cron, Miguel Sano, and Rhys Hoskins. If you're a fan of one of those 5 teams, you're fine. You have a very solid starter at first base. You might go through some growing pains with guys like Sano and Hoskins, but for right now, you are set. In your average range, you have Joey Votto, Brandon Belt, Ryan Zimmerman, Daniel Murphy, Eric Thames, Jesus Aguilar, Luke Voigt, Christian Walker, G-Man Choi, Renato Nunez, and Garrett Cooper. I'm not sure. Some of these guys are young. Some of these guys are platoon guys. Some of them are old. Like Joey Votto, Brandon Belt are guys, and Daniel Murphy even, are guys who just haven't aged as gracefully as others. Meanwhile, you have platoon guys kind of like Moreland, Thames, and then you have guys, young guys, such as Renato Nunez. You have Christian Walker. You have Luke Voigt, who could all make the bump up to solid starter with one good season. After that, you have underwhelming Albert Pujols, Eric Hosmer, Daniel Vogelbach, and Ronald Guzman. You have 2 guys in Pujols and Hosmer that are just at the tail ends of their careers. They're close enough to hanging up the cleats. It's sad to see them both go out this way, but that's where they are for right now. And then you got 2 young guys who just haven't put it together yet. In the bad tier, you have the exact same player 3 times over. You have Chris Davis, you have Travis Shaw, and you have Ryan O'Hearn. 3 guys who just can't hit can't hit lefties. They crush righties in a pinch, absolutely in a pinch, but they're not consistent at all about it. Low average, a lot of strikeouts, and they're missing the pop to be a true 3-outcome guy. But that's the tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check us out on Twitter at FairIt'sGone. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll catch you guys next time.